So this morning marks the second day of my washout or deload, whatever you want to call it, as well as the second day of the official start of the cut. So yesterday I got my updated macros from Mark, and we dropped some calories, we dropped some carbs, we dropped a little bit of fat, and we upped the protein a little bit. So this morning I didn't film my weigh in for you, but I was 104.6. So already dropped a little bit of weight, and yesterday went really well with continuing the squat progression. Figured some stuff out that helped it a little bit. I talked about it a bit on my Instagram. And yeah, today's gonna be some feet up bench, some tempo feet up bench, and then a little bit of circuit training, which is something that I do in my washouts or deloads now, which I've kind of grown to enjoy. But yeah, let's go do it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are embarking on the cut and the washout week. Now, a lot of people ask me, what's a washout? I get a lot of questions on that, so I feel like now would be a good time to kind of address that. It's a term that I originally heard from Mike T, my coach, and it refers to sort of a different kind of deload. Basically, the way that training is structured, and those of you who are familiar with the channel, familiar with my training, can maybe just fast forward a little bit, but my training is structured into what we call developmental blocks, where I do all the work, we see all the gains, we do all the tough stuff, all the heavy lifting, etc. And then we have what are called washout blocks, or periods of time where we essentially deload. Now, the difference between a traditional deload and a washout is that one of the main variables we focus on reducing during a washout is specificity. So you'll see me doing a lot of things like high bar squats, feet up bench, an alternate stance deadlift. You know, I'm a sumo deadlifter, I'll pull conventional in my washout, and then do a number of other things that are a little bit further removed from the competition lifts. This, in theory, allows me to keep the intensity relatively high, but without it being movements that I'm necessarily super efficient at. So overall, the strain should be less and allow for recovery while still pushing hard and maintaining adaptation or gains as much as possible. Now, I've found with athletes a bit of a mixed response in doing washouts or deloads like this. I have some athletes who much prefer a traditional sort of decrease in intensity, maintaining specificity, continuing to do the competition movements just lighter. And then I have other athletes who respond well to a washout style where we're decreasing specificity. And I don't even necessarily know that that is the defining difference between washout or deload, whether the terms are interchangeable or how Mike intended it. But for my intents and purposes, that's kind of how I refer to it. So today we're gonna go through some feet up bench for 10s, some tempo feet up bench, and then a 20-minute circuit, open-ended sets and reps, which is gonna be comprised of snatch grip RDLs, incline bench, and some chin-ups. So that's gonna be my day today.
That kind of leads us into a question we had from Nathan Drake.
Nathan Drake, what do you got for me, man?
He transitioned to a high-stress job, requires a lot of overtime, and he's walking around 10 miles or so a day. Most days he struggles to get even 2 meals in. As a result, he's lost 25 pounds. Ooh. He's wondering, how do you juggle such a high-stress job with lifting and everything else?
That's a tough one. I mean, I'm spoiled because my job is at the gym, so you know I can make concessions. I can schedule appointments a little further apart, give myself time to eat. That kind of stuff's pretty easy. I think if you're working a high stress job, I mean, obviously you're going to need more food than you otherwise would. And one thing that I found really helpful is drinking it. So I don't know if there's a way that you can have like a cooler in your car or in your truck or on the job site or whatever. You know, pack some food in a cooler backpack or some such, you know, put some ice packs in there or something, and see if you can find a way to drink your calories. I know for a while there, this is gonna sound gross, but I was making beef shakes. So I would blend up beef, like a cup of lentils or chickpeas or something like that. I'd use some stock, some vegetable or chicken stock or beef stock or something like that, and like a cup of vegetables. And I would blend all that up and I would just drink it all day. If you got a really good blender, it's probably gonna help. I had a really crappy blender and it was really chunky and not good. But that's an option. Another one kind of recipe, I guess you could call it, that I used was a bunch of egg whites and blended fruit with maybe some whey and yogurt and those kinds of things. You can get a lot of calories in, and that one doesn't taste quite as odd. Like the other one's kind of, the first one I mentioned, the beef shake, is kind of like a cold soup almost. But you can try that. You can try, another thing I like to do is I use unflavored whey protein from Canadian Protein. And then I use some Kool-Aid powder, Gatorade powder, something like that. You can mix different ratios of carbs to protein that way and drink it. And it's maybe not ideal nutrition. If you can get in 2 solid meals a day and then supplement it with those things, that's probably gonna help. But definitely getting in more food is gonna be the biggest thing you can do. And I mean, probably drinking it is gonna be your best bet if you're on the move all day. You don't really have much time to sit down. You know, the other thing might just be that you go through periods where it's harder to maintain weight, or you plan a cut around that time so you don't have to eat as much. I don't know if that's ideal for you, but something to think about anyways.
Talk about some of the shit you've done.
Got through feet up bench, a couple sets of 10. I think 120 kilos for my first one, 125 kilos for the second one. And then I came down to 117 and a half based on what I did the last time I did these for my tempo work. And it was too much. I actually missed my last rep, which probably not ideal for a deload. Bit of a greedy choice, bit of a poor choice on my end, but what are you gonna do? Came down another 7.5 to 110 for my last set, and even that was pretty hard. I think I was up around a 9 RPE in the last one. So now I'm about to get into my circuit. So we're gonna do some incline bench with about 100, 102.5 kilos. We're gonna do some snatch grip RDLs with 160, and then some chin-ups with an added 25 kilos around my waist. So we'll see what we get there.
Before you get started on that though, Nikhil Thomas is asking, what do you think about squat stances where when reaching depth, the knees flare out wider than the ankles?
I think when you're hitting depth, if your knees go out wider than your ankles, that's fine. I don't really see any situation where the knees going out too far is that big of a deal, unless you're in pain. Like for me, when I squatted actually yesterday, I found out that if I cue myself to push my knees out, I get a lot of hip pain, I get a lot of instability, but if I cue myself to just push my knees forward, everything feels tighter and stronger and better and less pain. So I think if your knees are out further than your ankles, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Chances are, as soon as you initiate your drive out of the hole, they're gonna come back in right over the ankles. But I can't really think of any reason that would be less than optimal, especially when you're going to hit depth. A lot of people will push their knees out extra to get that last little bit of dip into depth. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
That's about all I have for comments.
That's about all you got?
I
Cool.
mean, a guy named Scood.
Scood?
SKUDE3.
Scood.
Skewed.
Skewed 3? What does he want? Or she?
Show us some dreadlock pictures. I can't
Some
imagine you
dreadlock
with long
pictures.
hair.
Jesus, maybe Dylan will dig those up from my old Facebook. Just go to my profile picture on Facebook and hit the back button. That's a trick to scope out a lot of people's most embarrassing shit. If you go to their Facebook profile picture and just hit back instead of forward, it'll go to their very first profile picture. I think mine might have been like the Diablo 3 Barbarian at one point. Or Diablo 2 Barbarian, sorry.
By the way, why don't you do seal rows or something like that if you want to be really strict?
Maybe I will. I don't know. I've just never done them before. I'm not super concerned about being strict. And again, I talked about this on an Instagram post the other day. But a lot of times I think when moving weight and strength adaptation is my goal, I'm not too worried about a little bit of body English. If I was strictly training for hypertrophy, it's been shown that more range of motion helps produce more hypertrophy, those kinds of things in terms of mechanical loading, mechanical stress. But when I'm looking at moving more weight and becoming more strong, I think a lot of times if I can get a couple extra kilos on the bar by using a little bit of body English, I'm okay with that in a strength setting. But yeah, depends on your goals. There's always context. Is that it? Now watch me do a circuit. So we had a ton of questions about my neck, and I guess we're gonna measure my neck now. This is getting weird, you guys. This is far too much neck talk. After this, let's leave the neck alone for a while.
17. I don't know where you normally measure a neck.
Super low, like right against the traps, so it sounds bigger.
Oh fuck, you're disgusting.
I'm super sweaty, I know.
So it's about like 17 inches or 43 and a half centimeters?
17 inches, 43 and a half centimeters, which I don't think is that big. Maybe I just have a small head.
Honestly, I think it's your traps that are big.
My traps are big.
And you don't have a long neck like me, so.
I don't know how you flex traps. I don't know how
but
to do
you
that.
also have pretty thick, whatever the front neck muscles are called. I don't remember my kinesiology degree anymore.
Anyways, so that's my neck for y'all. Yeah, I just finished the circuit. I'm a disgusting mess. Snatch grips felt a little touch and go. I mean, those are a tough one for me to get completely pain-free. Still feel a little bit of pain towards lockout there. I think the snatch grip kind of really pulls me out of position. I gotta fight really hard to keep everything locked in, maintain good position on those. But it's one of those ones where if I can get it, it's possible for me to get it. So just had to kind of keep working with it and how I was doing it. Incline felt really good. It was really light today. And chin-ups, my last set, I opted to go body weight just to get a bit of a pump in. Just because, why not? But that's about it, really. We put in our sample order for the new apparel yesterday. So that's super exciting. We should have that by the end of the month. We'll show you guys that stuff when we get it. What else was I gonna say? I had another thing I wanted to say. Oh yeah, the album. My album recommendation of the day. I was listening to this during my circuit. It's an oldie but a goodie. The Alexis on Fire album, Watch Out, good old Canadian boys. And maybe Dylan will play a little snippet of that on this video if we can figure out how to get that in there. Or figure out the legality around putting it in there anyways. But that's it. We're signing off. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Please ask us more questions below. We really like kind of having this interactive format, being able to answer questions back and forth with you guys as we go through the workout here. So ask us more questions about whatever you want. Just leave my neck out of it. And my ear thingies, yeah. I wore my ear thingies today. My onion rings are contained. Dylan thinks they're super gross too. You guys aren't alone. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video if you liked it. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.